Hi and welcome to this week's video. In this video, a bit more stringer work, some little cover plates going on and things like that. Not a huge amount of fine detail to show you with regards to that. A lot, say honest truth, it's some of the things we've done before, and I built up the crank for the engine. So join me and I'll show you what I've been up to. Well, as you can see, the undercarriage build bench section is empty, and there's various bits hanging up. The cabane painted in green, axle, the bungee struts and the main leg sections. I did manage to get the leg bit section bent there. No video footage of that. It was done with specialist tools. It's not a job that can be done at home by the home builder. You need a specialist bending tool to do that, really. And I haven't shown any of the welding being carried out. That's deliberate on my part. I'm not here to teach people how to do, and if you're a competent welder, you'll be able to work out your own methods of doing the welding safely. If you're not a competent welder, I would say you shouldn't be welding the undercarriage on your aircraft. It's as easy as that. But overall, what I did was I put extra weld in, and then ground and filed and sanded it back in so to give it sort of pleasing shape. So I went to that extra bit that most people wouldn't have gone to. They'd have left it as it was with a nice standard seam weld, but I took it back, which meant I had to be extra careful filing things not to actually file into the tube and make it weak. Where I've added a little bit of extra strength by the filleting, added a little bit of extra weight, but I think overall it's a good effect, and when the covering goes over there it should look reasonably smooth. This is a 2K paint, so I'm going to be leaving it for a couple of 3 weeks or so before I put the Auretex covering on. Right, so why have I cleared the top bench? Well, clear this area because I want a nice clean work area. I'm going to assemble the crankshaft for the engine. We'll do the basic assembly of the crankshaft for the engine so I can actually put it into the crankcase, so I can hang it onto the front of there at some stage in the not too distant future, just so I can see what's happening with the cowl. My next real task, apart from just prepping up the crankshaft so I can actually do that, because it requires the crankshaft being frozen and the cam drive gear and the prop drive to be heated up. So I want to get that done for when I have the opportunity, so like a couple of days in a line. So that's why that's set up. But my next job is I'm just going to make up this ply section going across here. I have temporarily fitted this undercarriage cross piece in position. That's just to verify the undercarriage itself works and that the holes in here are good. I'll just go polish out a little scratch which I've got in there, which shouldn't be there. So there we go. Work to do. Let's crack on. All very nicely set out. I'm not going to go through the engine assembly. I know some of you would really enjoy me to go through the engine assembly and things like that, but I see very little point. AeroV do a DVD instructions that come with the kit. They are very comprehensive. There's an instruction booklet that comes with the kit. It's very in-depth. It really does show all the fine details. It lists what tools you need, it lists what components you need, and all the components are nicely marked up, so you just really I would say a first year motor vehicle apprentice would have no difficulty in putting this engine together, provided they read or at least look at the DVD where they're being told what to do. The instructions are override anything that's in the DVD because they're specific for the engine, so they get updated. When you get your engine, you build from the instructions that come with your engine. Don't go get the latest set necessarily offline, anything like that. This set of instructions is for this engine, built at the time it was built. There we are. I'll be taking the covering off this, taking some of the blanking plugs out, using gun cleaning brushes to make sure there's no trapped machining dirt and bits and pieces within the crank itself, and then I'll put the plugs back in. This goes into the freezer for 12 hours, and the first bit that's going to go on is the timing gear, that bit, which gets 3 hours in the oven. It'll turn blue in colour, the temperature it's going to, and 450 degrees Fahrenheit, so that'll get cooked, and then it'll all get slipped together, and then that goes back in the freezer for another 12 hours, and we repeat again. 3 hours of cooking for the prop drive. That goes on impact driver, the old air rattle gun, dig a dig a dig a dig. Piece of wood and a mallet and things also help persuade it into place because it's an interference fit. That gets tightened up as quickly as you can, and once that's done, normalised in temperature, we take out the bolt and then we torque it all up and thread lock it. It's a good bit of fun to be done. I've got to build that bit up right. There's no sort of temporary build, pull it apart and put it back in the box. That's actually got to be built for final assembly, and then that lot will go into the unpainted raw crankcase with rear bearing in position. We've got the front bearings already there, and I can then, as I said, check what's happening with the cowl. Well, that just shows what sort of dirt comes out. Most of that is sealant. I've run a magnet around in there, and none of it was actually metallic. That's all rubber sealant, probably from when I took the plugs out. So this is a setup I'm going to be utilising. These are sort of oval washers to spread the load from the quarter bolts, which would be holding the front cabane on. I've tapered a piece of strip wood to help hold things up. I will make up a small strip of wood that will go along the here to help support this. But this is the sort of complex wacky shape which you've got currently. So that's sort of the bottom end going to the stringer about here, curving around the holes for the bolts to go through, and then you've got this sort of rectangular slot section at the bottom there, because it's got to go around the washer like that. The washer will show through the covering a little bit, but then I'll trace this lot onto the one for the other side to start off with, but also onto some paper, so I can utilise that for making up the template area for perhaps the aluminium teardrop or whatever I'm going to utilise on there to cover up those bolt heads. Still not 100% sure what I'm going to do there yet. It's a little bit of a toss-up. It could be a I might even think about it's like a 3D printed item to go on there. It could be a possibility, I suppose. It would be if I had a 3D printer, but I know people who have. If I could draw something up for that. Alternatively, I'll just go with my beaten bits of metal, which is my preferred anyway, I think. Right, I better get cracking. Well, there it is in place, bonded in. I think that's quite a reasonable sort of job there. I've brought the stringer down to it so it's all nice and matching, and I've varnished pretty much the whole side of the fuselage except for the area where the wing will sit. So I'm going to be doing another sort of algae slight mod there, just to help out the covering and get a nicer fit between the fuselage covering and the wing root itself, so without having the covering sort of chattering against the wing root or being a bit weird there, especially as we haven't got the sort of stringer which would go in there that they have on the plans, and going from the back of the wing trailing edge back a little bit. They have sort of stringers in those positions. I'm not using that. Only got the one going down the side. So once this is fully dried, I'll just turn it the fuselage over and we'll start doing the other side. Well, there's the crankshaft assembled for the first stages. So I can just I'll put a bearing on this end, shell bearing on this end, put that into the crankcase, and I can use that to just check up on the cowl by mounting that on the engine mounts onto the front of the airframe. So that might happen next week, I don't know yet, in the next video. And as you can see, I've been bonding the side stringer on the port side, which just needs to cure. I've also squeezed in and just put in this little plate here to give the covering for going around the fuel vent area. I thought I'd do that at about the same time. So I've been playing around with lots of little tiddly bits. Not really much to show you video wise, because, well, you've seen the stringer system going on before. A cover plate's just a cover plate, and as I said, I'm not going to show the engine build because it just would take forever to get all the video, to get all the details in, and Aeroconversions DVD that comes along with the engine and instructions are just so fantastic. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and join me next time where we'll do a little bit more building on my Fisher Youngster. So keep well, bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.